What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 103. And today we're going to continue our positional rankings for 2024 and get second base. With me tonight, Jason Ashby. Jason, second base is a bit of a puzzle, isn't it?
It is. There are so many pieces, and I don't know where they go. It's a mess. It's a mess. That we talked off air. There's probably about 8 or 9 that you feel pretty safe with, and then the rest, throw them up in the air, and wherever they land is how they're ranked, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah, I'm confident in my top 9 guys at this position. And then after that, it all gets sort of weird. And I don't know that I have them in the right order, but I feel like there's at least probably 12 to 13 guys that you could feel confident as your second baseman going into the season.
Yeah, I can see that. And there's some guys here who are probably at the bottom, towards the bottom, who probably should be higher up, but I don't know what to make of them. This is gonna be an interesting one for
It
sure.
really, really is. Let's get this thing kicked off right now. We're going to start with number 1. And I was talking with our commissioner, Ben Nisman, before we got it started here. And my number 1 is Mookie Betts. It shouldn't be anybody else but this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mookie Betts is number 1. He's number 1 at this position. He's number 1 at shortstop for me, and he's number 2 in right field. So he is incredibly high after an MVP season, 307 average, 39 homers, 107 RBIs, and they just added fucking Shohei Ohtani.
Is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. After that, I think this is where things could go sideways. Because my next 4, I'm confident are the next 4, but I don't know that I have them in the same order as anybody else would. So who is your number 2?
Marcus Semien.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think before Betts entered the position, he was the safest number 1, so he's got to be the safest number 2.
Yeah, and he's the Iron Man. He played 162 games last year. He's played 160 plus games each of the last I don't know how many seasons. He's absolutely worth a second round pick in this league. Walks a ton, does not strike out. Had 14 steals last year, 29 and 100 for homers and RBIs, 40 doubles that paced Betts as well. So yeah, he's absolutely, he feels like the safe number 2. But I could listen to the argument for anybody who wants to take one of these next 3 guys.
Sure.
So, who do you have at 3?
I have Jose Altuve. He's
Okay.
still up here for me. Look, he's the same age as Semien. They're both 34, so age isn't really much of a factor. He still can hit it. He only played in 90 games last year. He had some injury problems, obviously, with the broken thumb in the WBC. But when he played, he was still just as solid. I haven't really seen the real decline that I think some people were expecting over the last few years. So until he does, he's my number 3.
Yeah, 90 games, 360 at bats, 21 doubles, 17 homers, 51 RBIs, and 14 steals. He hit 311, had a 393 on base. I loved it. I loved it. I just had to wait a little bit for him to show up. I actually have him at 4. My number 3 is Ozzie Albies, which I'm going to assume is your number 4.
It was until about a half an hour before showtime.
Okay, so Albies at 3 for me. I just love the Braves lineup. I hate the Braves, but I love their lineup. It's really good. 33 and 109 last year. Same number of steals as Altuve and Semien and Betts. Like all of them had 13 and 14 steals. So you're not getting anything different there. The strikeout rate is lower than Altuve. The walk rate was not as good because he played 148 games. He hit 280. I mean, I don't see why this dude can't repeat a season just like this in the middle of that order. I don't think there's any more Dansby Swanson holding him up from being the number 2 hitter in that league. So, or in that on that team. So I've got him right there at 3, backing up Ronald Acuna and in front of Matt Olson. Who do you have at 4?
So this was a last minute swap. I have Ketel Marte number 4.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Look, so the way I did my rankings, I did look at the last 3 years and kind of averaged them out based on number of stats, and I just looking at the overall picture from the last 3 seasons. Granted, Ozzie Albies had an injury play 2022, so he only played in 64 games that year, but the numbers are just way better for Marte. I like the potential better. I think there's a little more just overall, just the rate stats, he hits it harder. Um, I just like everything more about him. Just a smidge
Yeah,
more than Albies.
you're right about the rate stats. 42.8 hard hit percentage to 39.1 for Albies, and the average exit velocity a couple of miles an hour heavier. Did have a better on base percentage, comparable batting average. I've got Marte a little bit lower. I've got one more guy here in the top five that is not anybody we've talked about yet. I have, so to recap: Betts, Semien, Albies at 3, Altuve at 4, and my number 5 we'll talk about in a moment. Your top 4 are Betts, Semien, Altuve, and number
Marte.
4 is Marte.
Marte. Yeah.
Who do you have at 5?
Albies.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense to me. My number 5 is Luis Arraez.
Okay.
So I said at first base it was an empty batting average, and I'm not really a big fan of a guy who hits, barely double digit home runs and doesn't score a whole lot of runs and doesn't steal any bags. But I think he fits at second base so much better that I'm willing to take it here, because you're not if you miss on the top 4 guys that I've already talked about, this feels like the safest option next. This feels like this dude's going to be there every single day. Marte has injury history. Some of the guys that we're going to talk about have injury or production problem history. So for me, Luis Arraez, safe bet, number 5. Look, I don't think any of us are going to get him. I think Ben's going to go crazy and take him really high this year, but we shall see. We shall see. So your number 5 is Albies.
Yep.
Now that concludes the top tier for me. Was Betts, Semien, Altuve, Albies, and Arraez. And there's a bit of a jump at 6. I have Marte.
Okay.
I feel like he's the next best guy to get in here. Who do you have at 6?
Okay, so 6 is also a recent jump because of where he signed. I actually have Justin Turner here.
I don't
He's
have him
gonna
in my top 25 because I didn't realize he was going to be second base eligible.
he is second base eligible. He has one first, second, and third. He's gonna be the everyday DH for the Blue Jays, um, which is there's not very many better places to be, I think. Um, he's again, we talked about it in first base. Yes, he's gonna be 39, but he's really shown no signs of slowing down. Played in 146 games last year. Quality at bats. He still hits it hard. He doesn't strike out. Uh, I like him here. I like it number 6. He is, yes, I think he is one of the safer options at this very volatile position.
I'm just looking right now. Like, my immediate thought was to just dump him in behind Marte here, because I don't feel confident about many of the guys immediately behind him. I think that's where I'll sit him for now, is the new number 7, just for the moment. So that makes him my number 7. Who do you have at 7 there?
7, I have Jorge Polanco, now with the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, I got him much lower.
Yeah, I figured
But
you
go ahead.
would, and I did too until this trade. I've always liked the Mariners, and I like him now in a fresh start with the Mariners, in that lineup. And I don't know. Again, his numbers. Look, he only played 80 games last year. If he can stay healthy, I like what he brings to the table.
This guy just reeks of like 2019 juiced ball. And then he had what did he have? A nice 2021, I think.
2021, he hit 269 with 33 homers, 98 RBIs, and 11 steals.
Okay, yeah, that was the other good season he's had. He
Yeah.
only played 80 games last year due to injury. I'm concerned about that Seattle lineup suddenly. Like, I don't think they've improved this lineup this year. I don't like what they've done around Julio. So I've got Polanco much lower, but I could see the argument to make to have him rise here. My number 8 is Nico Horner of Chicago. 98 runs scored, 43 stolen bases last year, and only a 12% strikeout rate, 619 at bats. He had 283, 346 on base. Doesn't hit the ball incredibly hard, but the speed is there, and he's going to be in a decent lineup at the top of their order.
I have him a little bit lower down, but for all the same reasons. I like
Mm-hmm.
this guy. If he can he's finally getting some full playing time. Yeah, I like what he can bring.
Yeah, a full season like this was really nice. 27 doubles as well. It was single digit homers, but
He's
43
second,
stolen bases is really nice.
right? Second base. You're not really expecting 30 home runs from a second baseman.
Right. All right. So who we move on to number 9. Who's number 9 for you?
Wait, you didn't get my number 8?
Oh, who's number 8?
My number 8, I have, and I don't like it, but the numbers say to me to do it, is Gleyber Torres.
I have him at 9.
Okay. Yeah. I never liked him, but I mean, 20 plus home runs each of the last 2 years. Um, you know, I can't overlook that.
The
So,
lineup got better, a lot
yep,
better.
yep.
25 homers, 68 RBIs, 13 steals last year, and a 273 batting average, which is very respectable. A
And look,
347 on base percentage. Like, he's good. He's good.
he only 14% strikeout rate. Like
Yeah.
it's so it's I think he kind of gets lost maybe a little bit in the Judge and Stanton and now Soto, but he is a quality hitter.
Now that we're talking about it, I like him more than Justin Turner, so he's my new number 7. So it
Fair.
goes Marte at 6, Torres at 7, Justin Turner at 8, Nico Horner at 9 for me. Who do you have at 9?
My 9 is Luis Ariz.
Okay. I can understand because he doesn't have any of the power and he's not going to hit 20 home runs that you've got him behind them.
And the Marlins I think are going to be a really tough offensive team to score any runs. So even if he's hitting on top of the lineup, he's not going to score a whole lot of runs. So
Mm-hmm. And this was the point where we were talking about where things start to get a little murky. I think we're going to divert even more here, even though we have Torres in our top 10 and I guess Justin Turner now in our top 10. Ariz makes both of our top 10s. My number 10 here is Bryson Stott. The kid proved quite a bit in Philadelphia last year. Full season of work, 585 at bats, 32 doubles. That's more than Albies or Ariz or Torres. 15 homers, 62 RBIs, 31 steals is top 5 at the position. And a 280 batting average with a 329 on base. In that lineup is also quite good with Harper and Schwarber and Castellanos and Real Muto. I'm willing to believe that this kid could also make a jump forward.
I have him a little bit further down. The OPS, like the OPS plus and like all those kind of counting stats, the rate stats aren't very good. He doesn't hit it very hard. His strikeout percentage is good, but he doesn't
Yep.
walk. He the 31 steals I feel like is interesting. I feel like that kind of came out of nowhere.
It just sort of flew under the radar, and all of a sudden he's got 30 steals, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I
This
had to look at
guy's
that
good.
twice. Like, did I make a typo? But yeah, so that's encouraging. But I don't know, the rest of his set, I'm just not in love with.
Having Horner and Stott back to back, I feel like these are kind of a similar pairing of dudes.
Yeah,
I just think Horner is in the better spot in the lineup because there's no way Stott's hitting leadoff.
no,
I think he's hitting much further down in the order, whereas Horner is going to lead off and score more runs there.
yeah.
All right, you had Ariz at 10,
I had a Rise at 9.
a 9.
My 10, I have see. Yeah, this is where it's gonna get weird. I have Brendan Donovan here.
Oh my, I have him very much lower.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, I'm looking at the numbers and like, okay, not a lot of power, but like 283 average over the last 2 seasons,
Mhm.
380 on base, like that's good. And he plays everywhere. He's a Swiss Army knife. Um, I could move him down and feel fine with it. I didn't know who to put here, so I put him.
Yeah, yeah, I've got him way down at 27. Like I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know what he is, and I'm concerned that maybe the health thing pops back up again. He still played 95 games, 11 homers, 10 doubles, 5 steals, 285 average. Sure,
yeah.
maybe he's better than I'm giving him credit for.
I just and maybe he's worse than I'm giving him credit for. So he's probably somewhere in the middle.
Mm. All right, we move on to number 11, and this is where things get really interesting. Who do you have at 11, sir?
Here I have Nico Horner.
Okay. I have a breakout candidate here, and I feel like the 10 spot in our rankings is usually where we put a breakout guy.
Yep.
For you, it was Nolan Jones, and for me, it was Tristan Casas at first base. Here's Edward Julian.
Yep. Yep.
109 games last year, 16 homers, 16 doubles, 64 walks for a 381 on base percentage and a 263 batting average. Struck out a ton, but he's a rookie. I'm not going to hold that against him in his first season. Maybe we see that progress more toward the mean. It was a 31% strikeout rate last year, and he still hit 263. So I'm willing to bet that comes down a little bit. Maybe the batting average will go up. He's always been an on base machine in the minor leagues. I don't necessarily love the Twins lineup, but he's going to be leading off for them, it seems. So we will see what he's capable of this year.
Yeah, and the trade of Polanco clears him to play every day.
Exactly.
Yeah, at one point I had him at 10. I moved him a little bit further down just because I had Horner at 11, and then my next guy with a little bit more of a track record. But yeah, I have him right there.
Yeah. Who's number 12?
12, I have Jeff McNeil here.
Okay.
I'm hoping for a little bit of a bounce back. Again, I could flip flop him and Julian, but the track record of McNeil is just a little bit better for me. I know what I'm going to get with him. And again, he has some more eligibility left and right field. Um, I don't know. I don't know if, how much the 2022 McNeil was the real McNeil and how much of 23 was the real McNeil, but I'm willing to at least give him a shot.
I don't have the answer as to whether the real Jeff McNeil will stand up this year. He had a 10% strikeout rate this year, 585 at bats, but only 10 homers, 10 steals, 39 walks, 25 doubles, a 270 batting average. That's nice, but a 246 expected batting average.
Yeah.
That's not good. And he doesn't hit the ball incredibly hard. In fact, he's one of the worst at it. So I've got him a bit lower. He's just outside my top 15.
Okay.
So my number 12 is Spencer Steer, much the
Okay.
same reason as Justin Turner here. He's multi-eligible. By the way, Spencer Steer hit 23 homers, 15 steals, and 74 runs scored in 156 games last year. Had a nice on base percentage, 270 batting average, struck out 21% of the time. But I don't know if he's real.
I don't know if any of these guys that I'm going to be listing out here are real, or but I feel like I have him a little bit further down, but he's in this group of real breakout candidates for me, because what you just said, the numbers show that he is possible.
Mm-hmm. He did have 37 doubles last year, and that's a good sign in that ballpark. So I'm willing to at least give him the benefit of the doubt. He is top 12 for me here. Who do you have at 13, my friend?
13, I have Julian.
Okay, fair enough. I have Ha-Seong Kim here.
Yeah, go ahead.
75 walks, 38 steals, 17 homers, 23 doubles, and 84 runs scored. This kid is young, and he might just be coming into his own right now. 260 batting average last year, a 351 on base percentage, good for a 749 OPS. Again, he's not going to crush the ball, but he's not going to disappoint you. He's going to steal a ton of bases. He's going to hit at the top of this lineup as well. And with Tatis and Machado behind him, you have to believe he's going to score some runs.
Yeah, I wanted to get him higher, and I probably could. I just he's gotten better each of the last 3 seasons. Each of his seasons in America. It's hard for me to overlook how bad he was in 21 and how less bad he was in 22, and then he was really good last year. So at one point I didn't even have him in my rankings, and I had to revisit that. So I have him a little bit further down. I really want to get him higher up, so I might revisit it. But
okay, all right. So your 13 was Julian. Who do you have at 14?
14, I have Matt McLean here.
I'm a little bit lower, but I understand why you've got him here.
Yeah, again, it's a 1-year sample, so and only 89 games, but 16 homers, 50 RBIs, and 14 steals with a 290 average and a 357 on base. I can't ignore that.
No, not at all. Downside of it, 385 BABIP with a 28.5% strikeout rate and a 255 expected batting average.
Yeah.
So it was a nice, really hot 90 games. You at least end up on the radar, and you're in a nice ballpark. But again, just like Spencer Steer, I don't know if you're real. I don't know what you're going to be.
The real concern for me about like all these like Reds is how much playing time are they going to get unless they make some sort of move, right? Because there's a lot of pieces here, especially in the infield,
Hmm.
that they really haven't addressed. So, like,
And they've got more in the minors. Like they haven't even addressed Noelvi Marte yet,
yep, yep.
right?
So,
So,
you get off to a bad April, and they can replace you, lightning quick.
mhm. My number 14 is another Chicago Cub. This is Christopher Morel. I know he's a favorite of yours from last year. Didn't really pan out last year as he struck out 31% of the time. Only had 36 walks, but had a very honest 247 batting average. He had 26 home runs, 70 RBIs, 62 runs scored, and 17 doubles in 107 games. If he stays healthy, maybe he's a 30 homer guy. He's going to have plenty of eligibility, but I think their strikeout thing is real. So I'm not willing to like overcommit to this guy.
Yeah, yeah, and I have him a little bit further down, just because also I don't know also about the playing time. I'm guessing he's going to be the everyday DH, but we've seen that they send him down, when he slumps. So,
Mhm.
like, it's a little bit of a red flag for me, but the power is absolutely there. And in this position, in second base position, it's kind of interesting to have that, but I had to put him a little bit further down.
Yeah, 15.9% barrel rate. That's top five. I think it is top at the position. 50% hard hit rate. That's top at the position. And 92.1 average exit velocity. Only 0.3 of a mile per hour less than one Mookie Betts. There's potential here. We
There
just
is,
don't know if he's going to see it.
yeah.
Rounding out the top 15, my friend, who do you have at 15?
Okay, another breakout guy because why the hell not? Only 70 games to speak of, but it's Zach Geloff of the A's.
Okay.
Uh, 69 games, 300 plate appearances, but 14 homers and 32 RBIs and 14 steals with a 267 and a 337. Like, again, not crazy, outrageous numbers, but enough to like go, oh, okay, he actually was pretty good. Good hard hit, good
Mhm.
home run percentage, good OPS plus. Like, he's got the numbers to make it look like he can actually play ball. Obviously, his lineup stinks, so there's not going to be
Mhm.
a whole lot of runs and RBIs going on there, but I think he can make things happen at the top of that shitty order.
Yeah, the ballpark doesn't help him either. They're going to play one more year in the Coliseum and then have to go. So this year he might be zapped of a little bit of power because of that. But you're right. I like this kid. He's on my dynasty league team as my one of my starting second basemen.
There you go.
But I did have him a little bit lower. At 15, I have Jonathan India. That seemed to be everybody's man crush a couple of years ago, and my how the mighty have fallen at this point. And he might get squeezed out of this infield, like you said earlier. He did play 119 games last year due to injury, 17 homers, 14 steals. So comparable numbers to everybody we're talking about in this area. I just like the ballpark a hell of a lot better than I like Oakland. So I've got him
Sure.
a little bit higher than Geloff.
And look, they're talking about moving him around to first base, left field, so he might gain some eligibility this year too.
That would be great. That would be
Yeah.
great. 16, I have McNeil. So who do you have at 16?
16, I moved him up here a little bit. I have Isak Paredes here.
Hmm.
Um, again, he's like Turner. He's gonna have the first, second, third eligibility around the horn. Um, you know, 31 home runs from a second baseman is not nothing. Obviously the rest of it is kind of just the lineup isn't great. Um, but if the 31 home runs is anything close to being real, I'd be okay with that as a second baseman.
We talked about him pretty extensively at the first base show. I've got him not as high as I did last year. He was very nice to me last year. I just don't know that he's going to repeat that because he is
Sure.
such a pull heavy hitter. But much more on him in the first base show.
Yep.
McNeil at 16 for me, 270 average, but a 246 expected batting average. Not a whole lot to speak of in the power category. He only barreled the ball 1.3% of the time. Like that is just so minuscule.
But you see him play. You know how he hits.
Yeah.
He's essentially. I'm not trying to compare him, but he's Ichiro. In the
Yeah.
way that he slaps the ball like that.
Correct. And the highest outcome we could see is a batting champion out of this, and we've seen it already.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's going to repeat itself. So 16 is about as high as I could get him. He is ahead of Matt McLean, who's number 17 for me. So take it over from here.
17, I have Spencer Steer.
Okay. So we've talked about both of those guys. 18, a guy we haven't talked about yet. Who do you have at 18?
A guy we haven't talked about yet. I have Nolan Gorman here.
Okay.
Again, a guy who I could see moving up these rankings. It's just look, 27 home runs again. The power from a second baseman is really nice, but a 236 average with a 238 or a 328 on base isn't terrific. So I don't know. Again, it's kind of a mixed bag with him and a lot of these other guys. He's only 24, so maybe there's something more from this kid.
His BABIP was a bit low, 296, but his strikeout rate was awful at 32%. So
Yeah.
he does hit the ball incredibly hard, 16.5% barrel rate and 91% or 91 average exit velocity. Really nice. Have him at 23. It's not egregiously lower than you. At 18, I have a guy we haven't talked about yet. 153 games, 27 doubles, 15 homers, 30 steals, an 18.2% strikeout rate, a 251 batting average, 314 on base. Give me Andres Jimenez here.
Wow. Okay.
30 steals you can't look away from with 15 homers. Someone's gonna hit in that lineup other than Jose Ramirez. We keep saying it every year, and it never actually materializes. But maybe this is what we can expect out of like a middle infield guy.
Again, I have him lower. I'd love to get him higher. I don't know. I don't know how real the power is from him. The speed is nice. The speed is definitely nice, but there's not a whole lot else. He doesn't hit the ball hard at all. He's nice. He's nice.
Yeah, I mean, at 18, like you're just at that point trying to fill in the middle infield position. Ben and I had thought he might have shortstop eligibility, but did not last year because they had Ahmed Rosario for so long. So
Yeah,
he is the second baseman there. He's not going anywhere. And he's a nice little player. I think he could be serviceable as a starting second baseman.
yeah, absolutely.
19's my Jorge Polanco here. Again, I don't like the move to Seattle. I don't like I just don't like him as a player. He strikes out too much, doesn't hit the ball incredibly hard. No thanks. Who do you have at 19?
I have Bryson Stott here.
Oh, wow. Okay. We're
Yeah.
9 spots apart on that guy.
He also doesn't hit the ball that hard.
You're right.
Over his 2 seasons, 95 OPS plus, decent. 13 home runs, 56 RBIs over those 2 seasons. The 31 steals is nice, but again, it's good. I don't love him. I know the Phillies lineup is stacked. I just don't like the Phillies.
Fair enough. Rounding out the top 20, sir. Who do you have at 20?
Kind of the same guy, in my opinion. I have Tommy Edman here.
Ooh, I heard the T sound, and I was like, we might agree on one. We do not.
No, I have Tommy Edman here. The eligibility is super nice. Both middle infield positions and center and right. And the speed is nice. Everything else, he doesn't strike out a lot. I thought he was going really high going into last year, and I was afraid of that, and so I don't love him, but at 20, like I would be okay with him. Like if I miss out on some of these other good second basemen, like I'd be okay having him so I can move him around to other positions.
Tommy Edman played 137 games last year. I've got a guy at 20 who played 120 games, so 17 fewer games, had 6 fewer runs scored, 1 more double, 1 more homer, 2 more RBIs, 3 more steals, 3 fewer walks. Like this is almost the same dude. I have Thairo Estrada here.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Thairo Estrada is, but I do know that he was good last year. 22.6% strikeout rate, but a 271 batting average, 14 homers, 23 steals, a 315 on base, good for a 731 OPS. He doesn't hit the ball incredibly hard. He plays in a pitcher's park. Like none of this is screaming like I need to have this guy, but he was good enough last year that 26 doubles is the most in this bracket other than Jimenez, who had 27. So like of this group, he fits right in. I just don't necessarily love him either.
Yeah, yeah. I have him much further down. Again, I could see him coming up. It's a mess of a position right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't trust the Giants. I never trusted their lineup. Yeah, the numbers are nice. I don't know how real they are. 14 home runs each of the last 2 seasons. Come out of nowhere. I don't know. He's 28. I don't know. I don't know enough about him.
I'm not a fan of the Giants. I think they platoon far too much, which will cut into your playing time with any player that you select, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
Interesting that we don't have a DJ LeMahieu or Whit Merrifield sighting in the top 20 for either of us.
One of those guys is coming up for me.
Okay. Who's at 21 for you?
Here I have Christopher Morel.
Okay. I have Brandon Lau here, which is probably a very similar play. Ton of strikeouts, not a great batting average, not a great on base percentage, but 21 homers in 109 games. He could be a 30 homer guy if he were healthy all year, but he only had 377 at bats, 15 doubles, 21 homers, 7 steals. So, okay. I mean,
He has
somebody's got to pick up the slack for the lack of Wander Franco in the Rays lineup. So maybe this guy finally does it again. Remember when he had 39 and like 100?
Yeah, 2 years ago, in 21, it was 39 home runs, 99 RBIs, but the 247 and the 340. So like, I have him at 22. I have him right
Okay.
below Morel.
Okay.
So yes, I just neither one of them have played a whole lot over the last couple of seasons. Lau because he's injured, Morel because he can't stay in the lineup. Um, but yeah, very similar players.
And who do you have at 21?
Morel.
Morel. Right. 22, I have Zach Geloff, who's is going to be my sleeper this year. I just think he's going to be fine and serviceable. But when they move to a new location, the ballpark dimensions will change. The team might improve a little bit around him. I mean, they won 50 games last year. That was awful. They lost 112 last year. They can't be worse than that, right?
Right?
Right? Who do you have at 22?
22 was Lau.
Okay, 23.
23, here's where I have Hassan Kim.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't feel good about it. I think he's going to do better than where I have him, because now he is going to have kind of full playing time. He had full playing time the last 2 seasons even, but like I feel like they were kind of moving him around to different positions. I think he's going to be their shortstop. Like that's it.
Yeah. No, he's not.
So
No, he's not going to be their shortstop. They have
second
Xander
baseman rather.
Bogaerts. Yeah.
Yeah, second baseman. Um, so I think that will probably help him a little bit. I just need to see it.
If you need a prove it year from him, I can understand. I have Nolan Gorman at 23 for much the same reason. I just need this to be proven to me. The 236 batting average sucks, 32% strikeout rate, over 406 at bats. Kid's young. He can absolutely improve. He is the highest of the Cardinals I have here because of the power. He is hitting the ball incredibly well, 16.5% barrel rate, 48.5% hard hit rate, and 91 average exit velocity. So he's doing all of the strong boy things. We just need him to cut down on the strikeouts a little bit.
Yep.
Who do you have at 24?
24, I have who used to be my man, Jonathan India. How the mighty have fallen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he hasn't stayed healthy the last 2 seasons, and they haven't been very good. So yeah, I mean, there's still potential there, but I'm starting to lose faith.
My number 24 is another guy you had faith in that didn't work out, but he still had 31 doubles last year and 23 homers. He struck out God almost 200 times last year, but he hits the ball incredibly hard. Like, it's Ryan McMahon of the
Yep.
Rockies, second baseman. Let's run it back one more time with that guy because eventually he's going to be good, right?
I mean, yes, yes, I think the answer is yes.
All right. And rounding out the top 25, sir, who do you have at 25?
25, I have Andres Jimenez.
Okay. I have a guy we haven't talked about, and probably one of the sleepers that you could think about having a nice season because he's going to hit in front of a legendary hitter on a really bad team. How about Luis Rengifo here? He's going to hit in
Wow.
front of Mike Trout in this lineup. Now, there isn't a whole lot to that lineup because guess who's behind him? Brandon Drury is batting third in that lineup allegedly. So like there's not a whole lot to look forward to, but 264 average, 339 on base, 16 homers, 15 doubles, and 400 at bats. I think the run total could come up. The strikeout numbers are nice, 18.5%. That's perfectly fine with me. I like the potential of where he is in a lineup right ahead of Mike Trout. The question is whether Mike Trout stays healthy.
Well, yeah, that's as he goes, the Angels go at this point with no.
Well, the Angels are still going to be bad even with him.
Well, okay, but how he goes is how the rest of the lineup will go.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And let's see, he will have second base, shortstop, third base, and right field. So he's got actually I think he may have left field too. So yeah, he'll have some decent eligibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I just like the spot in the lineup so long as Trout is healthy. Someone's going to get on base and score runs in front of him. It's got to be this guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's he wasn't even on my radar.
Now, that concludes our top 25, which means LeMahieu, Merrifield not showing up anymore, huh?
Yeah, I have Merrifield just outside of 25 at 26.
I have him at 30.
Yeah.
And I got LeMahieu at 29.
LeMahieu, I wasn't even sniffing LeMahieu.
You've hated him for years, haven't you?
I have ever since he
Man.
left Colorado.
All right, let's talk sleepers, breakouts, and busts. We've obviously touched on quite a few of them. Who's your sleeper this year?
So my sleeper is actually a guy we haven't mentioned yet because I can't rank him because he's never played a single game in the major leagues. But he just signed a massive extension with the Tigers, Colt Keith. He's gonna be their starting second baseman this year. So what's not to like? You know, the Tigers are up and coming, and he's gonna be in the center of it. So let's see what he can do.
I'm gonna look up his numbers real quick because he was nasty at AAA, if I remember correctly. I was looking at that just the other day because I saw him sign and I went, "Who? What is this dude about?"
Right?
Uh, last year at AAA. Okay, so he played two levels last year, AAA and AA, 27 homers, 101 RBIs, 60 walks, a 306 average, and a 380 on base percentage. Do I think that's going to immediately connect with majors? No, but those are nice.
Yeah. So even if they drop off a little bit, like you could still be looking at 2080 or something like that. 20 homers,
Yeah.
80 RBIs.
Yeah. Even if he goes 1575 in the first
Yeah.
year, like that's comparable to dudes like Spencer Steer or Edward, like Ta-Sung Kim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping my eye on him.
Much the same way I'm keeping my eye on Zach Geloff this year. I think he's going to be good for Oakland, but I don't know that Oakland's going to be any good at all.
Well, I know they're not going to be any good at all.
I know. Who is your breakout at this position?
My breakout is Edward Julian. I think
Yes.
yeah. I think
Yes.
he is the breakout of the position without question. He's going to get the playing time. If it's anything like what he showed in 109 games last year, I think we could be looking at something special.
Just bring down that strikeout rate. That's
Yep.
all I'm asking for. The on base percentage was 381 across 109 games. That's beautiful. And that's something that he has been touted on his way up to the majors is that the eye is very good. So he will take his walks and he hits the ball incredibly hard. That makes for a good thing. I will be watching out for him. Who's your bust?
My buzz is Ozzy Albies. I don't know.
Ooh.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just maybe I'm just seeing injury numbers from him, but I don't know. The numbers have been good. They're not great. He doesn't hit the ball very hard. Over the last 3 years, his OPS plus is 108. His on base is 313. Like it's mediocre to me. Like the power and speed is nice, but like I could see him, being like 15, when it's all said and done.
My bust is Whit Merrifield. Wherever he signs, this is not going to age well. Yeah, this is not going to age well, and it already has started. I mean, granted, last year Merrifield wasn't atrocious. 11 homers, 26 steals, 272 batting average, but does not hit the ball hard. He strikes out minimally 17%, but I don't know where he's going to go. I don't necessarily think that he's going to age all that well, and this might be it.
The one thing I'll say about him is that he plays. Like
Sure.
he posts every day. So if he can find a spot, where I haven't even heard this connection yet, but like the Marlins sound like a place for him. Somebody a team that could use a second baseman, and he can also hit the outfield if they need him to. He'll play every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Comeback player of the year at second base. Who you got?
Gosh, anybody. Let's go.
I think you're kind of counting on Jeff McNeil's bounce back, aren't you?
Yeah, I was about to say, let's go Jeff McNeil. I don't know what he's bouncing back to. I don't think it's a 326 with a 382, but if it's a 300, I'll be okay with that. Yeah, let's go McNeil as the bounce back.
I'll go with Jimenez, even though he put up a really nice season last year. I think we saw better from him a couple of years ago or last year or whatever. Either way, I think he could take a step forward as well because somebody needs to in Cleveland. For the love of God, somebody needs to. Jason, that is second base. I don't think we agree. We didn't agree on anything other than the top two.
That sounds correct.
Betts and Semien, and that's it. Like that.
Yeah.
After that, it all turns into a mess. Thanks so much for doing this with me, man.
Yeah, I love doing this. We still got 7 more positions to go, so I'm raring to go for these.
This is outstanding. We love doing these for you guys. And anytime you guys want to be a part of this, just let us know. You can send us rankings and we can just talk about your rankings, or you can come in and join us. Either way, it's been real. It's been fun. And it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.